All right, what's going on, you guys? Brian here with my AEW Dynamite recap. The coming off the heels of this past Saturday's Double or Nothing event. A slew of questions as far as the fallout. What would be next for the Inner Circle after they lost the Stadium Stampede match to the Elite and Matt Hardy on Saturday? What would Bryan Cage, the winner of the Casino Battle Royal, or the Casino Ladder match this past Saturday, thus earning a shot at the AEW World Championship, what would he be doing? Plus a bunch of other stuff. So let's just get right into it. Tonight's episode featured a chaotic brawl to end the show, setting up. I don't know if it's setting up something for the individuals involved as far as a match or something like that, but I'll get into who was involved in that. But we started off the show with the Inner Circle talking about their pep rally that was going to take place tonight on Dynamite. Of course, the Inner Circle lost to Matt Hardy and the Elite at Double or Nothing in the Stadium Stampede. They then had talked about shirts that they had made because they thought they were going to win. Then Santana basically said that after Jericho made a comment about there's only 3 boxes of shirts, Santana said about, wait a minute, I had a friend that got us a good deal, or gave us a good deal, and he opened up a truck door and there was a lot of boxes of t-shirts of the Inner Circle, and it's saying that they were the winners of the Stadium Stampede. Then we had in-ring action with Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks defeating Private Party and Joey Janela. One of the key things in this one had to do with one of Private Party, I believe it was Mark Quinn. Private Party did a dive on the Young Bucks to the outside of the ring, and when they dove over the ropes, I don't know if Mark Quinn landed wrong or he was holding his knee. So hopefully nothing is serious. They even made reference to it on commentary afterwards that hopefully it's nothing serious. If he just tweaked his knee or something like that, hopefully it's nothing serious. But Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks picked up the win in this one, 6-man tag. After the match, the Butcher and the Blade, they would attack the Young Bucks because of what happened during the match. Was when the Young Bucks were on the outside of the ring, I believe it was Nick Jackson. He was going to super kick Joey Janela, who he had dumped over the railing, but Joey Janela moved out of the way and it hit, I believe, the Blade. And afterwards, the Butcher would pull Nick Jackson over the rail, start beating him up. Matt Jackson would make the save. And then after the match, the Butcher and the Blade would attack the Young Bucks. And who would make the save? None other than FTR, the former Revival in WWE, the former Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. They made the save, or they had people thinking they were going to go after the Young Bucks, but then they went after Butcher and the Blade, and then they got face to face with the Young Bucks and then walked away. So obviously, fans are going to get their match that they have been wanting to see. FTR versus the Young Bucks, because it looks like FTR are a part of AEW. So moving on, I made reference to Bryan Cage, who won the Casino Ladder match on Saturday. He was in action, and he basically dominated Lee Johnson, beating him 1-2-3 with the drill claw. Jon Moxley, who retained his AEW World Championship on Saturday over Brody Lee, he had come out for commentary, And Taz, who apparently is managing Bryan Cage, basically made it clear that Jon Moxley is going to have to deal with Bryan Cage coming up at Fyter Fest this summer when they clash for the AEW World Championship. Then we had an interview with Dr. Britt Baker, who was injured last week. That's why she was not able to participate at Double or Nothing this past Saturday. She came out in a wheelchair. She had this board set up with the rules of a role model. Don't hurt the role model. That was step number 3. There was no step 1, step 2. It went on to step 3. Then she started talking about how it was a conspiracy involving Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose. She even blamed, for getting hurt, she even blamed referee Aubrey Edwards, who was, I believe, the referee, not whenever when Britt Baker got her nose broke by Hikaru Shida, I believe a while back. So then she made it clear that she's going to be out of action until All Out. So, and that's when she's going to make her return. So it was what it was. Then we had an Inner Circle interview, which would be kind of interrupted by Orange Cassidy. He would kind of pay the price for that a little bit later. Then the new AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida, she was in action. She took on Christy James, and she defeated her with the Michinoku Driver. So that was it for that one. Then they showed Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page in their hotel room. Hangman was drinking, beer. Omega was drinking milk. That was pretty much it. We had a interview. They had an interview with the brand new and the first ever TNT champion Cody, who talked about his victory on Saturday. He talked about how important it was, how he was not the first person contacted when AEW formed. He was like the 4th person. He then said that he's going to be there every week defending his championship. And it will start next week because there was a battle royal to determine who was going to get the first title match against Cody for that championship. Then we had a tag team match with Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc teaming up to take on Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian of SCU. This one was for who was going to earn an opportunity at the Tag Team Championships next week. And the winner of that one will face the Best Friends, who are the #1 contenders for the Tag Team Championships coming up at Fyter Fest. Of course, the Tag Team Champions are currently Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. It was an okay match. Penelope Ford, she got involved near the end, grabbing Kazarian's foot when Kazarian and Scorpio Sky were going to finish off Jimmy Havoc. Then Havoc and Sabian hit the dropkick Michinoku Driver finisher, double team finisher, and they got the victory over Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian. So now they move on to next week to challenge for the Tag Team Championships against Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. A huge opportunity for Sabian and Havoc. Will they be able to pick up the W and win the Tag Team Championships next week? We will find out. We heard from MJF ahead of the Battle Royal for the opportunity to challenge Cody for the TNT Championship. He talked about how he's undefeated for over a year, and he feels that someone in AEW front office doesn't like him. That's why he's not been getting opportunities at championships. He then said in the Battle Royal, he's gonna win it. And then if it came down to him and Wardlow, who was also in the Battle Royal, Wardlow would know what to do. Then they kind of teased dissension between them because Wardlow interrupted, and then MJF got mad, but then kind of started laughing and said he was joking around. So that was pretty much it. Then we had the Battle Royal. The winner will face Cody next week for the TNT Championship. It came down to Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy. And Jungle Boy, it was your winner in the Battle Royal. He last eliminated Orange Cassidy in a Battle Royal that featured Billy Gunn, Christopher Daniels, MJF, Wardlow, Peter Avalon, Brandon Cutler, Colt Cabana, all three members of Jurassic Express, Luther. Orange Cassidy almost was not able to participate because Santana and Ortiz of the Inner Circle came after him when he was making his entrance, and they beat him up, and he was almost taken out of the match, but he wound up getting back in the ring, and it came down to the final two, but Jungle Boy picking up the W and has a huge opportunity next week to try to wrestle away the TNT Championship from Cody. Then they had the Inner Circle pep rally. Basically, this was what I was talking about earlier. They had advertised that Mike Tyson was going to be there on Dynamite tonight. Jericho and the Inner Circle came out, being introduced by Vicky Guerrero. They had cheerleaders. They had band. They wound up giving each member of the Inner Circle wound up giving gifts to everybody. Then Jericho was asked by Sammy Guevara what he really wants. He says he wants Tyson's head on a silver platter. Then when Sammy Guevara said about that he had gotten a cheese platter and a little bit of the bubbly, he would lift up the see that the platter was empty. The ice bucket with the bubbly was empty. They were asking, where's the bubbly? Here comes Tyson with his entourage to the ring, and Jericho wanted an apology for what happened 10 years ago when Jericho was in WWE. He didn't make reference to WWE, but it happened on January 11th, 2010, where Tyson knocked out Jericho and turned on him to help DX win the tag team championships, or retain the tag team championships against Jericho and Tyson. So Jericho wanted an apology. Tyson pushed him, Tyson said no, then pushed him. Jericho pushed him back, and then the brawl was on to the point where they had to bring everybody in the ring to try to break them up, and that's how Dynamite went off the air. So a huge brawl to end this week's episode between Jericho and Tyson. Where they go from there with that, we have to wait and see. I thought this week's episode was decent, was okay, coming off the heels of Double or Nothing. I'm interested to see what they do with Jericho and Tyson. If that leads to a match between those two somewhere down the line, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I thought this week's episode was okay, decent. With that being said, this has been my AEW Dynamite recap for this week's episode. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.